Students in rural communities graduate from high school at a rate above the national average. But when it comes to applying to college or getting their degrees, those same students' attendance and completion rates are well below their peers in urban and suburban areas. Stephanie Sy reports from New Mexico on an initiative to help narrow that gap. It's part of our series, Rethinking College.
Cuesta is a remote, majority Hispanic village in northern New Mexico's Sangre de Cristo Mountains. Its high school has just 18 seniors. Yet on a recent fall morning, a bus full of representatives from selective universities had arrived for a recruiting visit.
Your identity, your community, your upbringing, your experience is actually a strength and an asset and not a disadvantage.
College access advocate Matt Ibarra explained to 11th and 12th graders why the colleges had come.
Because many of them have kind of identified they weren't built for you. They weren't built for students from small communities in northern New Mexico. But they're realizing that they're missing that voice on their campus. And
last year, less than half of Cuesta graduates enrolled in college. Those that did went to in-state schools, according to counselor Brian Salazar.
These kids haven't had the exposure that there's opportunity out there.
In rural New Mexico, just 20% of young adults complete college, compared to 32% in urban areas.
A lot of them don't know what colleges are out there and what colleges exist.
There are a lot of reasons for that statistic, says Hana Nagishi-Levin.
They don't know how to pay for college. They don't know even what the process of applying looks like.
And they may never have thought about going out of state. Marjorie Bentley is an admissions officer at the University of Chicago. She herself grew up in a small town in Georgia and can relate.
These students are not getting the same information that a lot of their peers are getting in more urban and suburban areas because colleges don't come visit them. They don't get opportunities to ask questions. They don't get opportunities to learn about different scholarships that might be available to them.
Traveling for hours to schools where there may be only a few dozen students to meet with takes real commitment and nonprofit funding.
We really want to give you a chance to think about college research.
The admissions officers held workshops, prompting students to consider the varied aspects of college, like campus social life.
Take a look at the question, think about what comes to mind.
There were sessions on paying for college.
We want to give you some practice with this,
where students tried running the numbers.
You're going to look at a financial aid package at the bottom.
And a college fair, where kids could collect information about visiting schools and speak with college representatives one-on-one.
My mom is actually really excited for me to go to college because she didn't go to college. I would be the first gen to even go to college.
Cuesta Jr. Janae Dominguez was curious about the out-of-state visitors, but even though she's a top student,
whenever I think about college, I think about tuition, so I think about in-state college.
What you think of the college fair today?
Counselor Brian Salazar says finances weigh on the minds of many here.
My upperclassmen are coming to me like, I want to go to college, mister, but I don't know. My parents didn't go. My parents don't have money. I'm being raised by a single parent. And the economic challenges are big here. We are part of the free lunch program because all of our students are below the poverty limit.
Matt Ibarra told the group they could qualify for serious tuition discounts.
We do have some schools in the room that are going to cost $90,000 a year. And before you give up on that, for many of you in this room, that $90,000 a year college is going to cost you $0 to go there.
But for Dominguez, who was raised by a single mother, the thought of traveling out of state is daunting.
I feel like it'd also be hard to leave New Mexico because I've never been far away from my family. Just start a new chapter in your life and go away from everything that you've known.
What do you hope college will mean for your future?
I hope that I could provide more. Not that my mom doesn't provide, but I just think I want to be able to provide for myself and future kids. I want them to be able to not have to worry.
About 30 miles south of Cuesta, Taos High School was the next stop for the bus tour. At the college fair that was set up in the school gym, junior Santiago de Herrera visited every table.
I want to become a doctor, but I also want to gain experiences of independence and being away from home.
De Herrera has ambitions to go out of state for college, even though it would be a big change.
Being part of a small community, just when you go to a bigger college, you would definitely feel a culture shock.
Nagishi Levin says that can be a barrier for other students here who are first generation.
It's difficult to get here. It's difficult to leave here. Culturally, this is a very specific and singular state, and leaving New Mexico for any first-gen student, any low-income student, often means you're the first in your family to go and experience something that is new, where the community looks really different.
Still, teacher Gregory Rael encourages his students to keep an open mind.
We have a lot of students who stayed within our community where the college path may not have been the path for them, and so we want to just build that next set of traditions for a lot of our students, that a four-year university or a college degree is something to strive for and is something to value.
But mindset aside, rural students often face academic hurdles to getting into elite schools. Rural college completion rates are 15% lower than in urban areas. New Mexico ranks last in education among all U.S. states and third to last in child economic well-being. And many rural districts, including Cuesta, operate on a 4-day school week with strained budgets.
These students might not have access to AP classes or dual enrollment or honors classes, which at the end of the day might limit which schools they can even apply to, depending on admissions requirements from different schools.
Dominguez says Cuesta doesn't have as many advanced classes as other places.
They don't really offer that stuff, so I feel like it's not enough, if that makes sense.
So there's certain courses that they don't offer here. It's too small of a school.
Yeah.
Columbia admissions officer Paige Cook says they do take into account what resources applicants have access to at their high school.
Those types of contextual information make my job a lot easier at trying to uncover if that student is doing as much as they can.
You want to see that they're doing as much as they can within the confines of the curriculum offered at their school.
Exactly.
Do you have any questions?
Bentley from the University of Chicago says the schools that came here are committed to improving access.
These are pretty competitive colleges to get into.
Yeah.
You already have a lot of students applying.
What we don't have is something that's representative of the United States as a whole, that's for sure. When we looked at our first analysis of our class, we found 3% of our entire campus were students coming from rural and small town high schools. More than 30% of the United States is rural and small town, so they were massively underrepresented.
Is that because rural students were not applying or because they weren't being admitted?
It was actually a little bit of both, but mostly that they weren't applying. When we looked at our pool, our pipelines, they were fairly scarce.
Bentley leads a network of colleges trying to expand those pipelines. Her message to rural students:
you are wanted, you are welcomed, we value you. You bring a really important perspective that a lot of our campuses are missing, and we want to support you.
Bentley has seen progress at her institution, where the share of rural students has increased to 9%. The hope is that these bus tours lead to long-term relationships between rural high schools and top-tier colleges. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Stephanie Tsai in northern New Mexico.